Hi, I'm Alisha Taylor from Alisha Taylor Interiors. I am an interior designer, and we are a full-service interior design firm focusing on new construction and full gut and remodels, working with you from the very start, from plan and concept, working with your architect and builder, down to that last pillow and sofa into your space.
I'm Brady Fenn with Fenn Rogers Custom Homes, general contractor, custom home builder, and remodeler. We do new builds, remodels. Love working with designers like Alisha to build your project, whatever it may be.
And I'm Adam Kostis, creative director for Cosan Studio, and we like to draw things on paper, ideally your dream home, and work with these folks to get it built.
So the biggest question we get is, where in the world do you start when wanting to build a luxury dream home? So we've got Brady here and Adam here who are going to help us and educate us about what that very first step is, because it happens before anything else. So as the architect, Adam, what do you suggest and what does Cosan Studios offer for that very first step?
Yeah, so I think even before you're coming to us, I think the best thing to do is to kind of do your own research and get a short list of firms that you think are going to gel with the style that you want for your home. And then you just kind of want to reach out to them and set up some one-on-one interviews with the creative director or the principal and just get a feel for them. It becomes an 8 to 12 month relationship. So you really want to make sure that you're going to be working with someone that you gel with and that you'll be able to make crucial decisions with. So I think that's definitely number one on the list, is to make sure that you're with someone that you're happy and comfortable with throughout a long period of time.
Yeah, and then as clients or potential clients are shopping for that custom home lot, what do you guys do as architects to help them out to make that decision?
Yeah, so the first thing we want to do is make sure that you're not going to buy a lot that is not going to give you what you want with your dream home. So there's constraints, there's site forces, there's things like setbacks, and we want to make sure that we can provide exactly what you want on that lot. So you definitely don't want to be you don't want to be buying a lot before you meet with an architect. I think that's a little bit backwards. So what you want to do is come to us and actually ask us to do a feasibility study for you. And what that entails is we'll analyze that site and we'll essentially draw a bubble diagram of kind of where your house would sit on it, and understand kind of how the house could be laid out. And I think that's pretty much the initial steps.
So helpful, because we've seen custom home lots that are almost unbuildable, and a realtor will sell you anything.
Exactly.
So use professionals, and I know Brady, as a custom home builder, you've got a lot of insight into costs. You can kind of help educate a client even just based on looking at some dirt.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something we like to do in that design or pre-design phase, is go out and look at lots with potential clients and just give them an idea of what the buildability is of the lot. Is it hillside? Is it going to require retaining walls? Are the utilities close? Are they there to the property? What is the HOA going to require as far as design guidelines? Just so many things like that that are hard to understand if you've never gone through that process before.
Yeah, and the same house can cost a totally different price on a different piece of dirt.
Absolutely.
So great tips if you want to build a custom luxury home. The biggest question that we all get is, how much is my house going to cost? And my short answer is, I don't know. We'll add it up when you're all done. That's how much your house costs. There's so many unknowns. But how do you field those questions as a custom luxury builder, Brady? When you get asked, what does it cost to build?
Yeah, I think the first question is, what lot are you building on? What are going to be the restrictions of your lot? Is it a flat lot? Is it easy to build on? That's kind of the first question. And then we start asking questions about what are they used to? What's their current home like? Are they going to be building something similar to where they're living now, or is it going to be a big step? Have they started to make more money? Is it something that they're taking the next step into more of a luxury property? So we'll ask questions like, what appliance package are you used to? That's a big one. If they say, LG, GE or whatever, or if they go straight to Sub-Zero Wolf, then we know kind of what type of client we're dealing with. So just try to dig into those questions and get a feel for what they're used to, what they've been exposed to, and then that will kind of help us guide that direction.
Yeah, and
For sure.
what costs from a per square foot? Now, this is not based on any set of plans
We're not
or
holding
any
to it.
specific lot.
Yeah.
What are you seeing the ranges in this greater kind of Scottsdale market right now, from Scottsdale, Gilbert, Queen Creek, areas?
Yeah, I think for us, and we're a little bit different kind of just with our overhead and kind of the way that we build, but if you were to say like the bottom of what we could do, I think is starting at $350 a square foot. And that's getting harder and harder to do. A year ago that was a little bit easier to do, but it's just as prices are increasing, there's so much demand, materials costs are increasing, it's really hard to gauge. But I would say in that $350 to, could go whatever. You're just talking about $1,200 a square foot.
That's
but
right.
It just, it really, and I think a lot of that cost is in the lot itself. How much of the pool and landscape, is this a full turnkey package? It's just so many different variables.
And I think just to add on to that really quick, I think something that's really interesting that a lot of people might not know right off the bat is, as you're jumping up into the custom residential realm, a lot of times the lots you're looking for are in gated communities, and those gated communities have an HOA. Well, we work together and you'll get an HOA that has stipulations saying that you have to have your windows recessed a certain amount. So the sticks and bricks on a thicker wall, it adds up over time with those construction materials. So picking a lot that is suitable for you, but understanding your budget and your constraints, if you are kind of tight, it might be beneficial for you to start looking in lots that don't have an HOA. You can definitely build for a lower cost per square foot outside of an HOA than inside.
Absolutely.
Yep. And there's so many factors go into it. I like to use the analogy if someone's asking me, well, how much would a car cost? And they give you no parameters.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's a
What are
used
your upgrades?
Honda or an Aston Martin.
Yeah.
And so as the process goes and as the designs from the architect, interior designer designs the lot, what builder did they choose? What level of luxury do they want? All of those are kind of little bits of knowledge that we gain along the way to help continue to understand that budget. And my rule of thumb is don't be afraid to talk about budget. As an interior designer, as a builder, as an architect, and especially as a client or a homeowner, tell your team what your expectations are. No one has a magic wand.
Yeah.
Costs are costs. If you don't share what you have available or what you're thinking of spending, you're leaving a lot of room for headache and just negative outcomes.
For sure.
And so I'd say we all either design or build in any reasonable budget.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you have a luxury builder that has done a $800 square foot house doesn't mean they can't do the $400. It's just about education and
Exactly.
expectations and communication.
And the earlier we know that on the front end of things, like the design, Alisha and myself, we value your constraints. So part of our job solely is to understand your constraints and your wants and your needs and to assemble them into one package. And so if you're transparent about your budget, as kind of personal and maybe embarrassing as it may be, it's critical for us to know that, at least a solid range, because we want to kind of push you in the design ability. We want to give you all those bells and whistles within your constraints, but we might have to dial back a little bit as we work through it, and that's where Brady's going to come in and start putting numbers to those sticks and bricks, and we kind of work together, and by the end of it, we've got something that you're proud of and fits within your constraints. It fits within your budgetary constraints.
Mm-hmm.
I think something that we talk about a lot, Alisha, is we'd rather build a very well thought out, well planned, well designed 5,000 or 6,000 square foot house versus doing this 10,000 square foot house. And that's where I think your architect is crucial to understand the constraints that the client have to make sure that you're not just designing this massive structure just because we want to make sure that we're doing something that's going to fit within the budget.
It's tailored to you.
And bigger is not always better.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
not always more functional.
Yeah,
and
for
it doesn't
sure.
feel like home sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are all things to consider from budget to design.
Definitely.
All right, so in our world, we talk about the dream team all the time. And what that means is on a luxury custom home project, you have a builder, an architect, and a professional interior designer. And those three are your core team throughout the entire project. You'll add a landscape designer in there, you'll add a cabinet company and other vendors, and your team will get bigger and bigger. But it is so important to hire those three critical trades and companies before even you have an idea on a napkin. So you hire them first. What are the benefits, Brady, to having all those professionals on the front end?
Yeah, I think it just is, you have three people that essentially you can trust to build your dream home. So you know that if you're starting to go down the wrong path or starting to get out of budget or things are just not gelling, that they're going to let you know. They're going to tell you, hey, this is becoming a little bit more expensive than what we talked about. And they're also going to guide the process. I think a big thing that we do in talking to our clients in the beginning is we want to be involved when they very first start the plans, because we want to be another advocate for the clients to stay on top of the architect, to stay on top of the interior designer, because we want to try to get it to that point to where we can start building it as quickly as possible without sacrificing quality. But I think that's a big thing for us that we do as the builders. Let us be your advocate to help guide this process and be the bad guy sometimes if we need to, so that the client doesn't necessarily always have to be that. And obviously, you know, budget for sure is a huge reason. We generally have a pretty good idea of what things are going to cost, and just what the market is doing, what's hard to get, where we can possibly value engineer and bring up some good ideas of ways to save on costs without sacrificing quality.
Yeah. And Adam, in your experience, what do you tell clients coming? How, you know, if they, a lot of times the architect gets approached first,
Yeah.
but you need the other companies as well. So
Yeah.
how do you guys guide clients to get pulling together that dream team?
For sure. I always like to think that ideas are whimsical. You know, architects, we've got whimsical ideas and we like to spend lots of money and the builders going to ground us. But clients as well, you know, your ideas are whimsical for your dream home. And that nature can spiral and get out of hand if you don't have structure within your teamwork. And that teamwork includes the three of us. It includes that builder, that interior designer, and that architect. Without those, your ideas, they're just whimsical. So I think putting that pen to paper and making sure that everything is well thought out and methodical, that's where things become more efficient. And we can start to get you exactly what you want in a faster time frame. And time is money, so you'll end up thanking us.
And to find that dream team, we know who the awesome builders, architects, designers are in town because we work with you guys and other companies all the time. But what would you suggest for a homeowner? Where do they even start? How do they find a great architect, a great builder, and a great designer?
Instagram.
How many followers do you have? No, I think that's a hard question, especially for us, I feel like, because we don't do the best job at marketing and doing all of that. But I think word of mouth is huge.
In this valley, absolutely.
Reputation. Talking to someone who's been through that process. And then I think whoever you talk to and feel most comfortable with the three of us, whether it's the architect, builder, or designer, really lend on that. Whoever you are set, hey, Alisha's going to design my house, so I'm going to go to her. Whoever she recommends as an architect or a builder, that's who I'm going to go with. I think once you can latch on to that person and really feed off them, that's huge.
Well, and we're in it every day, and
Exactly.
so we know all the builders in town.
Yeah.
And so, and there are some really great ones out there, and there's lots of great ones, and there's different personalities, different fits. Same with architects.
For sure.
And so, you know, using the professionals in your own team to keep adding to the team, I think is a great point. And trust and reputation.
Exactly. Well, and just familiarity with the processes too. Like, you know how we build, you know who's on our team, so you know what you can design in the home and how we're going to do it. And same with the architect as well. You know what their process is like, so you can really guide that whole thing. And for us, we know how you're going to guide the process, what you're going to present to the client. We know what the architect is going to, just that familiarity. I think, like you said, time is money. Really helps just be as efficient as possible.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's all about the team and getting those team players.